I mentioned earlier while discussing what sort of carving I was going to do in the foam for this section here, that I was thinking about possibly a ramp, having a separate terrain piece, which is a ramp, which sort of land bridge to here, then sort of run down. Now, I'm sort of running with that idea. I've got this sort of rough MDF base here that I've tried lying around. Just taking two little wedges of foam, just offcuts. I've just sort of cut them at tapering heights. And I'm planning on, if I make this piece, have it sort of run down this way. That way the stairway here won't be impeded. And we can sort of match the height, match the terrain surfacing to this, and make it sort of like a load bridge for, say, a small cart or wheelbarrows and things that way. Now these sections are chunkier and larger than they need to be at the moment, and I am planning on building sort of a fake road base across the top of this. Now whether that's going to be sort of laid out as like a timber sort of like cross bridge going up, or whether it's going to be cut from foam, I haven't quite decided, but I believe the two should complement each other this way. So I'm just starting this out like this, very basic. I've just glued these chunks straight to this. So we've just got the MDF and the foam straight there, and we're just going to work on building it up from that. Now, I will progress this one at the same pace as this piece here, simply for the sake of trying to match the carving on the stone to these, and when we come to basing and texturing, try to tie this to this as much as possible. Where we left off, we're actually starting to create the ramp here to connect up to the tower we're building. Now all I've done is pretty much glue 2 blocks of foam down to an MDF base. I've got here, these are just matchsticks, which I've just glued onto a cardboard strip. I've just done that twice. Now I didn't really measure the length of these. I was just sort of estimating because it's easy to cut them down. Now these are going to form the walkways for the ramp. So pretty much one here and one here. Now what I'm going to do is make a small little landing area here for the turn, and then have this one here sort of not necessarily running onto the ground like that, but maybe down to another sort of wedge that we sort of taper off. I may need to build this up a bit more, but I also don't want this to be too steep. Alright, so I'm just going to keep sort of working along. Just got a few sort of random blocks of foam here. Just going to sort of cut them to suit to see how we can make this go. I'm going to work with here first of all. We'll make this landing area large enough for the joint between the two, with an area that's reasonably big enough that you could actually foresee them actually be able to sort of pivot a hand trolley or a cart. So we'll work on that. So I'm going to build up to this height here. Actually, I'm just going to start just by trimming this level actually. Alright, and that'll give us a fairly level work area. The main reason we want that level is just for the joint area. So I also want to fill it in a bit more to make it large enough. So I'm going to just grab a few of the pins I use just to hold foam parts in place while they're drying. Glue, and we're just going to glue this one in place and then pin it to the other foam, just to give us an idea of where it's going to sit, so we can keep working. Out like this. Back in. Just going to kind of skewer it through from the top. And then in again from down here. This will just sort of stop it from pivoting, just while it dries in place. It also means if we bump it, it's not going to move. So it allows us to keep working. Now we will rough all this up once we get everything laid out. To cut them, all I need to do is I've literally picked a joint where there's a slight gap between them. Just run your knife in there, and all you're really doing is just slicing through a small amount of PVA and the card. Can be a little fiddly, so do watch your fingers. So just rest those pieces on there where they need to go. We'll come back once the glue is dry and keep working. I've been working on the foam, trying to get the actual sculpting of the rock done. And while I've been doing that, I've also added some more areas around here, just sort of take away just sort of that elbow look that was there. I've also added in these crossbars now. Now these will be the main supports for our planking. Right, now I've actually put in matchstick diagonal bracing, just to try to make it look a little bit more realistic. So this will actually be supported on top of here. Same with this here. This here will be an additional sort of bridging piece that will be needed to bridge across over to the tower terrain. Haven't really worked out how this one's going to go yet. So I've got all that in place there. What I need to do now is pretty much glue these on and then look at basing material. And then this one will be ready to sit aside for painting. Now, the only other thing that needs to be done along the way is you'll see here there's gaps between where the boards meet, and it will be up here as well. Now, I haven't worked out what I was going to do with that yet. I was thinking of either using matchsticks and trying to make like more timber decking, or to use just some thin foam and sort of make like cobblestones. Cobblestones may be the better option for down here. I'm not too sure for here yet. But what we'll do is I'm just going to attach these onto here now, and we'll work through and see how we can keep going with it. Let's just get using PVA. I'm just going to attach the bottom one here first. Now I have already cut it to length, as you saw before. Just trying to line it up correctly, because the top here will have to sort of bend over a bit to curve onto the foam. I need to clamp it on there as well. So I'll just get some clamps. Just going to apply a small amount of glue to each rail and then attach. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue underneath there and just sort of push it over. Now, to hold it in place, I'm just going to use pins. Just push it in place, and I'm just going to kind of skewer into the foam on an angle. And what that's going to do is hold the match down for me. Let's do the same over this side here. I'll probably add another one in the middle just for a little bit more support, because there's a bit of pressure on the outside edge. Alright, should hold that in place there. Just always as you're working as well, just check to see if you've got any glue sort of squirted out you need to clean up as you're going along. Taking care of it now will mean you get a better product in the end. Alright, so we'll let that one dry. Once it's completely dry, we'll do the top one up here. So all the decking is now stuck down on there. Got a nice even ramp. Next thing I'm going to do is fill in these areas here. Now this will of course just be up here. Haven't worked out what I'm doing with regards to basing for it and things yet. We'll work it as we go. But I need to fill this area here. And I'm also thinking about handrails. Thinking about a handrail along this outer edge. Now I'm just thinking about just vertical posts with chain. Just be something simple. And I'm going to start by actually just putting in a post that goes all the way down into this point here. And that'll then give me an area where I can work the timber around. So we're just going to work through that now. So I'm just going to trim the matches to suit and follow this direction and then trim them as I get closer to the angle. pretty good right now. Let's take a little water dry. Not the most perfect job, but it's what you'd probably expect to see around the time. We'll take this little, just a round little craft stick. Just going to work out sort of what height I need it at. That should be adequate. Alright, just cut through it. I'm just going to stand him up here in this corner. Just put a dot of glue in there. Just anchor him on the base, a little bit on the wall. And once this is dry, I'll use a match as well to create like a little angled support post against it to make it look like it was sort of holding the any strain it was holding. Put that to there. Now we'll be adding additional support posts for handrail. I have to put one in here sort of angled forward, put another one back here, and then one at the top here. So I'll work those out. Definitely want one up the top there, so I'm just going to cut one. It's going to be up here. Now, probably actually drill that into the foam, just for the sake of support. Now, a pin drill is not needed for drilling through foam. I was just trying to get a neat finish. I don't want to just pierce, like just puncture it in and pierce the foam. So push it in a little. Yep, that's good. That foam won't break out. So now just put a little bit of glue around the end. And then just twist him in. Now he's all dry and set up. And we'll work out what we're doing up here. Alright, so we're going to let that dry now. So this is the ramp how it's been up until now. We've got the 3 main platforms in place. Little support struts glued in place. Now they're just matchsticks, of course, poking with the foam and then glued in place. This does line up with where it connects onto the tower terrain piece at the base. Now what we need to do is just finish this bit of decking in here. Be very simple to do. We'll just use some matchsticks cut to length and shape, a bit of PVA. Now we're working on this handrail in here. My original plan was to just sort of string like a bronze chain between these couple of posts. And while that may work, I'm a little uncertain as to how the overall look will be. So I may actually want to add in some additional posts. Undecided at this stage. Now the chain I was going to use for that is just chain off an old necklace. It's just this here. It's just a sort of bronzish chain. Now, when I say it's off an old necklace, it was just pretty much just a very sort of cheap cosplay piece necklace from China. Got on eBay a while ago. Only cost, I think it was about $2 or $3. It wasn't very expensive. So, just working out if the chain is going to be the way to go on that. And I may need to actually put another post here because there should be chain between here and here for where it spans over the gap to join onto the tower. The other option would be, of course, to just leave like a loop on the end of the chain to attach to the post at the other end, which I might do. And then, of course, when it's not in use, you sort of let it hang down. Just things to think about. Anyway, we'll get working on this here now. So just get some matchsticks out, some cutters. I always get out more matchsticks than I'm going to need. You never know, the ends of some just may not be right. Maybe a little bit not shaped correctly. Like I see this one here is already split. So So we've got a big split in it, so that won't work for what we're doing. So it's going to match is pretty much basically good. Now I'll probably follow on from this direction as opposed to this direction, simply because I have a good chunk of foam here to glue that all the way along. Whereas if I follow this direction, it's going to space out to nowhere over this void. Now this walkway is not a work of precision at all, because we're going to use sand and other sort of basing material to hide a few gaps around it. So that's about as good as it needs to be for this. You've got to just mainly cover the gap there a bit. Put that there, should be good enough for now. All right, so let's put away the excess matches. Now I'm just going to move on to the basing material. Now the basing material is going to be the same as I've used many times before, same as we've done on the tower, same as on the Falcon terrain piece, and pretty much all other terrain pieces. So I'm just going to start out by placing this into this tray. Yep, just double checking it wasn't too reflective. Alright, now then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this little one here as a palette with a bit of PVA. Now I'm going to start out using this coarse basing material which we've used before, which is pretty much just like a, I don't know, probably a fine gravel. I'm just going to use it as plastic spoon just to help put it all in place. Alright, we're getting fairly good coverage. We're breaking up the flat surfaces in here fairly well. I'm going to keep going though, just applying more, just to try to make it look a little bit natural. Some surfaces are going to seem a bit weird, like you've got a hard corner, an edge that's too tight that just sort of wouldn't appear in nature. If that's the case, just apply a good amount to it. Remember to do in under the ramp as well, under the bridging areas. Some sections on top will have it, because remember, people are travelling this path. So it would wear itself up there the same way like dirt, sand, whatever tracks into your house, depending on where you live. So it will very much be the same for here. Now we are going to come back after this, go over it again, but we're going to actually apply sand as like a finer material. So don't worry about getting absolutely everything with the first pass. That is actually, that's pretty good so far. I'm kind of happy with that. Alright, so we'll move on to the next basing material, which will be the sand. Alright, and that is done. The next video you'll see for this one here, we'll actually be going through the painting of it all. And then once it's all completely painted, we'll be showcased next to the tower. Alright, thanks for watching.